You can disregard Gimgoon for a moment and set up, maybe even scout for some of these aggressive plays, but we are keeping our eyes on FPX here. I'm looking at Gimgoon potentially locking in something. The Sett has been something Gimgoon has found a lot of success on, where he's been able to have these big team fight impacts and that split push pressure if they'd like to. But the Aatrox, it's been tried, it's been tested, and it's came out on top every opportunity it's had. So they're going to go for this one once again.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, says Gimgoon as he locks the Aatrox for a third game in this series. He's looked amazing on it. His flanks in the team fights, even though his scorelines haven't been that great, the impact he's had has been phenomenal. It's going to be a repeat matchup, though, as Aodi goes for the Sett once more. And JJ sticking to this Sejuani. EDG say they're happy with the draft. It's execution that's the issue.
So FPX, once again, will ban the Taric, because that's what we've seen every single game so far. Here, though, FPX, I imagine, will be opting back in towards their support or a jungler for Tian. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Lee Sin come in again just to keep control of this early game and try and set up FPX to go for the same style of play last time.
So it's important to mention that EDG have banned away the Tahm Kench this time. So when you consider what happened in the early game, it did feel like Chris was able to deny a lot of the plays from EDG with this Tahm Kench. So I think EDG essentially saying, look, our draft was good without the denial from the Tahm Kench. Maybe we can make this one happen.
I think if this is the timing, though, I'd still prefer to see Aodi go towards this more tank-orientated set where you can still churn out a bunch of damage, but instead of going towards the Blade of the Rune King, go Black Cleaver into Dead Man's Plate, these types of styles, so you've got that survivability and still a good burst bit of damage that can come through off of that auto attack from Dead Man's.
Well, as you rightly said before, the Taric banned away from FPX, the Galio respect ban from Doinb once again. I'm kind of surprised at how much priority this Galio ban has had away from FPX here.
Well, don't forget, look at how FPX have been playing these side lanes. Do you really want to give them a Galio? It's kind of a similar playstyle to the likes of Twisted Fate.
Yeah, but I mean, Ryze is still available, Twisted Fate is still available. Doinb's only played the Galio one time this split, so...
And it was against EDG.
It was against EDG. I can imagine, I get why you're afraid of it, but like, you're not going to be able to ban out Doinb, so... I don't know, it's an interesting one to me. Maybe just for the early presence that it has in the game, but with Nautilus taken off the board, Meiko's going to have to change up his style. The Kassadin as well, respect ban from Doinb.
And now you kind of look towards Meiko as what do you want to play in this bottom lane, because Nautilus banned away, you've got the Thresh already taken off the board, Taric is gone, and your Nautilus, it kind of feels like you're left with Leona as this next engaged support, but that doesn't do too hot into the likes of the Thresh. But we'll have to see if that's the direction that they want to go for. But it's all up in the air at the moment.
They're hovering Doinb picks right now. They hover the Pantheon, they're hovering the Kled. They're kind of looking at Doinb and saying, we know the kind of things you're willing to go for. But my question will be, what do we see on this side of EDG? Because they've got to go from mid lane. Or Meiko could take that Sett in the bottom lane, actually. It's a Renekton.
That could be the game plan here, although we have seen both Sett and Renekton flex between top, mid. Not so much the support role for Renekton, but definitely for the Sett. So that could be, there we go. Okay, so Sett going to be taken in towards the bottom side of the map in the support role. Sylas will be mid for Scout. And then you've got Renekton in the top lane. I like the double melees that have been paired with JJ here. And now your only back line is going to be the likes of this Kalista, so a lot more support can be given to Hope in these engagements.
Doinb with his signature Ryze once again, but this time Scout on the Sylas. I would have loved to see the Twisted Fate from Doinb, and we have dual destinies around the map. That would have been exciting. But regardless, Scout, bear in mind, can interrupt the Realm Warp from Doinb if he's in the right position. CC will cancel that ultimate.
The big thing here, though, is Scout doesn't have a lot of these big ultimates that he can really get use out of. The only one in my eyes that I'm really looking towards is the likes of Chains of Corruption. But realistically, this is EDG now going, okay, we're not going to have these late game carries in the Azir. We're not going to be opting towards this style. Instead, Scout is going to be positioned on side lanes. They're looking for these early skirmishes into 1-3-1s where they can then have these flanking positions on team fights for Scout. Very different style of play, and thankfully we'll see now EDG trying to operate a different style that might catch FPX.
Look, I like it. EDG, game number 1 and game number 2, same style going for these late game fights. It's not worked out at all, honestly. As soon as it hits 20 minutes, it feels like they just fall further and further behind. Go for a composition that can fight around the 20-minute mark. They basically say to FPX, we want to brawl right with you. The question for me, though, Dagda, is, are they stronger in the mid game than FPX? Do they have the ability to just push these fights?
I think it's going to come down a lot to this early game as to who starts to get rolling at the start. And I think FPX definitely have the tools to better do that, because you do have the Sejuani for EDG, which will be on a slower pace. We already talked about it in the last game, and we did see Tian get that ball rolling a little bit quicker for FPX in the early game. And you've got Crisp on this playmaking support, so definitely pressure across the board here for FPX. The question for me, though, is how do EDG try and play towards this top side of the map? Because when you've got a Sejuani who's got 2 melees, essentially carries between the Renekton and the Sylas, they can play pretty heavily in this 3-man unit and start to make plays towards the Rift Herald just by themselves. And I think that's where EDG could try to find some of the skirmishes in their favor towards the early game.
We'll have to see if the composition is going to work out for EDG here, but FPX kind of with a similar thing that we've been seeing in game number 1 and game number 2. I'm excited for Doinb on his rise once again. It's always a terror to watch that. But up towards the top lane, let's discuss Renekton versus Aatrox here, because it's a bit more of an aggressive matchup than what we've seen in game 1 and 2.
Yeah, this is something that is incredibly snowbally on both sides. Renekton does have control of that matchup in the early stages, well, at least once he gets access to his level 3 and gets that full combo. So if we start to see some jungler interaction up there, I think that could definitely swap over which side is going to be in control. So I wouldn't be surprised, as we talked about with Tian, having a little bit of a quicker clear to get towards that top side first and try and make his impact known. But if JJ can get up towards the top side, that's a very potent gank setup. Renekton into the stun, into a permafrost from the Sejuani, that's going to be a very dead Aatrox, so even if you get the flash away, the permafrost will soon follow.
And there's already been a lot of top lane priority from the side of EDG across this series. It's typically what they like to go for in series past as well. So Gimgoon, we know him as this weak side top laner from FPX. This is what he does. This is how he's valuable to the side of FPX. They pretty much never give him attention in the top lane, honestly. So the question will be, how much can he survive? Will he be able to stop this Renekton from snowballing and keep FPX's plays around the bottom side valuable?
Yeah, it feels like in an awful lot of situations, these two drafts are essentially handshaking. You've got the top laners that both can snowball very well, both flanking top laners that want to get in and be a bit more of a carry-orientated champion for their teams. Same when you've got this mid lane, you've got someone who can split push very well in both Ryze and Sylas. They love to get in onto the back line when they get given the opportunity. This is where we're starting to see EDG and FPX up for a very similar style, and it will, as we said, really depend on how this early game goes. FPX so far have done a great job in controlling that early game and setting themselves up, but EDG are bringing it back in the mid game, so we don't know how this is going to go.
And here's the thing, right? Because FPX, the mid-game advantages that they found, or early game to mid-game advantages they found, have been macro-based advantages. It's not really been about the fights. This time around, with EDG bringing more tools that will come online around that mid-game, especially thinking about that Renekton that can teleport into a dragon fight, suddenly, with EDG having a bit more power behind them, I could see EDG contesting a little bit more, trying to stop some of these tower trades that happen and just force fights and make FPX the ones that have to answer the play, not the ones starting it off.
And something you did touch on, Munch, when we started to talk about Scout, getting this farm on the Azir in these side lanes. When we've seen Scout on champions like this, where the Diana game is the one that sticks out to me, where we saw way earlier in the split.
It was a long while ago.
Yeah, against top esports, where Scout was able to get a bunch of these turret plates in his favor. I think he got 7 overall when it got to the end of the game. He was super far ahead and had these massive impact in these team fights. Now, I mean, Diana is a little bit different from Sylas, but still this split push pressure is what I want to talk about more, is that Scout is very good in controlling these side lanes when that is his job, and right now he will be on that duty to split off into the side lane, deal with Doinb's pressure, and if EDG can get this stall rolling once again early, they could take over this game, but it will rely on JJ trying to set up for these Rift Heralds. That's how a lot of the gold gets funneled into the likes of Scout in these compositions. And we talked about, hey, look, you've got a super strong 3-man skirmish for EDG right now. So as long as you can control the bot side of the map for EDG and have them pushing in consistently, stopping FPX's Lwx and Chris from rolling to that top side, they could be in great shape.
Yeah, I mean, partly I agree with that. Partly as well, though, I'd actually love to see JJ focusing more towards the bottom side of the map. Because when we think about EDG and who's been consistent on this squad, it's probably been Hope as the most consistent player, the rookie coming into that AD carry role. Oh, we know FPX are going to try and dive bot. We know FPX are going to play around the bottom side of the map. I'd love to see JJ answering that a little bit more effectively here in this game and try and get Hope ahead for once.
especially when we're looking at EDG, who are trying to bounce back from the likes of iBoy leaving the team. Hope has done an amazing job of coming in and filling that gap.
Yeah.
And when we look at the performance from EDG last year, this was the first year since their inception that they didn't make Worlds. This is a team that is looking to find their success once again and put themselves back in contention of the storied history they've had in the LPL. It needs to start here today, though. It needs to start in this game and put themselves one step closer to that reverse sweep.
They're in the quarterfinals right now, but this is not enough for EDG as an organization. Bear in mind, they have 5 domestic championships under their belt. They've got an MSI under the belt as well. On the other side of the board, in EDG's eyes, FPX are a young upstart. They only arrived in 2018. Since then, though, or 2017, sorry. Since then, they've actually managed to get themselves a world championship. So sure, in terms of number of trophies, FPX might not be as impressive, but they've got the one that matters the most.
I actually corrected you wrongly there. It was 2018.
That's what I thought, but I was like, he sounds confident, so I'll go with him here on
That's
this
how
one.
I work. I just say things confidently and people believe me. It's my job.
Let's get on into this game, because EDG are going to start things off pretty aggressively here with an invade onto the blue buff, but FPX will not let this one go for free. Doinb is going to be trying to step in. Bear in mind he's a level 1 Ryze, doesn't do a whole lot, will flash away. Blue buff taken, it was JJ that smited it in the end, and FPX don't get the play they wanted.
No, but they get the smite out of Doinb, and again we talked about JJ.
The flash out of Doinb.
The flash out, what did I say?
Smite.
Smite. The flash out of Doinb. Words are tough apparently for me.
They
this
are
game
quite
3.
difficult.
So I want to see JJ put more attention towards this mid lane now. Doinb without the flash, you can have Scout with the Absconder Duck set up for the play, and same as we were talking about on the top side. Oh, hang on.
We've got a 2v2 on our hands. Meiko will walk away with his life.
So using the electrocute is great, but not at the cost of your half your health bar there, Meiko. Again, though, on the set, so we will be able to regen a lot of that. Has the pot ticking over as well, so not the end of the world, but watch JJ. Can he make his presence known in this mid lane? Doinb playing very far back, knowing that he doesn't want to be given the opportunities to scout to set up for that play.
And Omnistone is omnipresent right here because it sees that Meiko took a bad trade, so it gives him the fleet footwork to sustain back up a little bit. He's desperate to make this Omnistone work. Scout, though, takes a bit of a heavy trade there from Doinb in the mid lane.
Just because I've seen a few people question the set in the bottom lane, but I'm going to hang on for a second as it looks like Scout is setting up a JJ.
Let's come back to that because EDG are doing what FPX does best. They're going for this dive in the bottom lane. 4 versus 2. Chris flashes away. He's ignited, and he'll be finished off with a haymaker. Kill goes the way of Scout, and everybody escapes from EDG.
And this is setting up off of that early play where EDG, they steal away the blue buff, so Tian is going to be pathing towards top side, and once they got enough time with Scout pushing in off of the flash advantage that he has. Oh, hang on.
Here we go. TPs from both sides right here. Lwx is going to be falling. Meiko sacrifices his own life for it. Doinb is here. Tian alongside him as well, but they don't quite have the damage to finish off Scout. Stun onto Tian. He goes back in. The guy's a lunatic. Tian, you got to get out of there, man. Hope, though, has to flash away, and he sacrificed Scout for it. The hook from Crisp is beautiful, but the Rens are stacking up from Hope. It's not quite enough to finish a kill, though. Hope jumps over the wall. EDG will escape.
EDG making the FPX play of diving these bottom lane turrets, and they do come out on top. And a lot of that is, as we said, Doinb not having the flash, afraid to push in this wave in the same manner he would have if he had the flash available. So Scout gets the roam off first and sets up the play in the bottom lane. And this is why we often do see the set support come in. So you opt towards the Omni Stone, so you're able to take the likes of that Hextech flash, as well as being able to take Nimbus Cloak, so you're able to close the gap consistently. But the diving that you get on this set is so strong because Haymaker can tank incredibly well. You've great CC when you've got the Face Breaker, the Showstopper, and Meiko here is doing a great job of showing what you're capable of working with in this set.
And we criticized Meiko's set earlier on today when we saw the first set in the draft. We said, you know, Meiko didn't look so hot in this set in the regular split, but here in playoffs, it's a different Meiko.
Well, it's EDG playing so well around it, and this is not a play that Junjia would have made. This is a play that JJ will make. This is why we start to see this rotation coming through from EDG. But again, it's when we hit this mid-game that we've seen some of these mistakes creep in from Meiko. So watch as we start to get towards these team fights of dragons, as we start to rotate around the map, if Meiko can still be as consistent on this set.
I'll keep my eyes peeled for that one, Dagda, but Meiko...
Predator picked up now. Okay, so we will be pushed off, but maybe Meiko, off this big wave that's being shoved in, can look to make a move towards mid. Doinb backing away, still has no flash, still has no teleport. I'd love this Sett to try and make a play towards mid.
And this is such a great way to start the game here from EDG. We said coming out of Game 2, they need to change the pace, change things up here. They've drafted way more early game power here, and they are already using it to great effect. They've flipped the script here on FPX. Meiko, he's going to be fine. He's going to be able to get away with this one. Actually using the Predator just to leg it out of there. In the meantime, JJ starts this Dragon. Tian is here, though. But EDG, they would love to fight for this.
Yeah, Meiko and Hope are going to be able to move across. First, that big wave that we're talking about from Lwx, well, he's got, or pushing in against Lwx, he's got to deal with that. And this is why JJ is really good at objective control. It's using these waves to get a slight advantage where Hope and Meiko can join first, and then they can have a man advantage at Dragon. They pick up the Dragon here first things off the bat, and now the next objective in just over a minute and a half will be that Rift Herald.
And that is where we'll see whether or not EDG are really going to emulate this FPX style. Because actually it's been EDG that managed to get both Heralds in game number 2. And also, JJ, he's got his work cut out here. Double control ward. Hey, but that's 60 gold. I think he's happy with that one. Scouts coming into the bottom lane, though. It's time for a dive. Once again, Crisp and Lwx. You don't have Tom Kench this time. Tower plate goes down. Meiko happy to tank this tower. Face breaker available. And it's just going to be a kill onto Crisp from Hope. But Aodi wants to keep this one going, and he slices, he dices, and he gets himself a kill to me.
And it's all things nices for EDG, picking up kills, picking up turret plates. And yes, Gimgoon will be able to push in this wave and get some for himself. But EDG are solidifying this beautifully strong early game. And now when we talked about in the draft, EDG setting up for success, beating out the likes of Doinb in the split push and Gimgoon in the split push, this is how you do it as EDG.
And hey, what do we always talk about when it comes to split push? What's the weakness of that strategy? Is if you're not ahead, you don't get to control the side lanes in the way that you want to. And EDG are trying to set themselves up with that lead.
And even when we look towards these early game skirmishes where we talked about Aodi and Scout finding their success, this has only been doubled now because a kill piece for both top and mid.
Well, FPX say anything you can do, we can do better. It's our turn to go for a dive here, and Aodi will not have the dominance available. The damage is there, but actually Aodi survives, and Meiko's here to save the day. Tian gets the lantern out to safety, but a perfect answer from EDG.
It does mean that Aodi's taken relatively low, though, so we'll need to use the cult to try and heal up, but again, you've answered. Gimgoon's taken low, Tian not as healthy as he would like, so Gimgoon, no teleport, means that EDG can keep FPX off of this Rift Herald.
Meiko is looking amazing so far this game. He's 0-1-3, but this set has been played perfectly. Not only that, though, his map plays have been excellent. He moves up, he reads that FPX are going to make this dive play, and he's there to protect his top laner.
And Hope has control of this bottom side, so he's pushing in and reading that he can now move up to this mid lane to just give support in case FPX tried to contest this. But Rift Herald now will go over in favor of EDG. 2 quick objectives over for the EDG squad.
And it's EDG that are setting the tempo. This is exactly what we wanted from this squad. Changed things up for game number 3, and they're doing exactly that. The question will be, can they hold this lead? Also, I want to quickly mention, Lwx has gone for the on-hit Varus this time, not the lethality. So there is a bit of a change in pace here from FPX as well.
And I like this because Lwx will, as we said, be able to try and keep a lot of people at bay with this Chains of Corruption. So having that moment to try and move back and then still get through. A lot of the tankier members that are on EDG, Aodi will get a lot of health. Scout as well will end up with a pretty big health pool. So getting a lot of use out of this Blade of the Rune King. I want to look, though, at the turret plates that are on this bottom side of the map because you can see JJ moving down here. 3 plates means that more than likely JJ is going to use this Rift Herald on the bottom side, pick up this turret, and you can see Lwx and Crisp have already figured this out. They've abandoned the bottom side of the map to make a play towards the top side instead.
They really want to shut Aodi down, but he's not going to be going down without a fight. I want to kind of visit the scoreboard here and look at CS numbers, though, because right now, Hope is miles ahead of Lwx. He's 30 CS up, he's 2-0-2. And now, with a Herald on this bottom side, Hope is like King Midas right now. Anything he touches turns to gold, because this guy is loaded.
Is that the 5th century or the 8th century?
That's the Yeah, of course, it is the 5th century BC Midas from Greek mythology, not the one that, you know, topped himself.
Well, we are going to be looking at EDG pushing in this bottom side of the map. Rift Herald has done a great job of already collapsing through this. FPX are miles behind on the play, and the beauty about this push from EDG is they can shove in this wave back towards the dragon, pick that one up for themselves as well, or at least scatter wards across the FPX jungle to mean that to secure themselves this next dragon. Oh, Scout.
Scout is going to just face check in anyway because the rest of his squad is here. Doinb is deleted.
This is so well played by EDG. They are taking everything on this map. Lwx is still stuck in the top side trying to clear this turret, while EDG are 2 paces ahead.
This is still the trade for the tier 2 in the bottom lane that we saw earlier on, and Lwx can't even finish the tower. We've talked about how FPX have had the lead in these series. The biggest lead they had was 2,000 gold. EDG right now are 4,000 up.
And we talked about the mid game where FPX start to slip. Well, EDG have come out of the gate swinging in the early game and now potentially looking for something good in the mid.
This is a bad TP though, because that tower's already down. There's a stopwatch available for Hope, though. Everybody's arriving, and Lwx is so low. Realm Warp coming on through. Flash from Chris, but he misses the hook. Now Doinb going very, very deep. The exhaust onto Hope means he doesn't have much damage, but here comes the rest of the squad. Scout's arrived, and he's got damage. Finishes off Doinb. Lwx desperately trying to escape. Tian jumps over to him as well. In the meantime, though, there's still 2 members bot side for EDG, but Scout's not done just yet. The chain lash to finish 1. And they continue the chase.
EDG are looking at a Phoenix. They're swatting away FPX like an annoying fly, shutting down plays across the board, picking up advantages. At 12 minutes in, we are 7-1 with a 3,000 gold lead, 4,000 gold lead in favor of EDG.
This is a beautiful game we're seeing here from the side of EDG. 4,000 gold lead, as you rightly say. 4 minutes until that next Drake, and they're already 2 up on the scoreboard. They're ahead in towers as well, importantly, because when you consider what happened in Game 1, Game 2, it was FPX winning on these tower trades. The macro play was what was immaculate, but EDG aren't going to let them play that pace of game.
And remember what we talked about with JJ coming in. Objective control is the strength of this jungler. This is now EDG looking at Soul Point in just over 3.5 minutes. They've already littered the wards completely on the map. And EDG, some of the biggest criticisms we had when they're playing with Aodi and Junjia is that they don't really know how they're supposed to operate, where they're to get the wards, how do we address these objectives. But with JJ in, it seems to be giving them that new lease of life where they can play this style.
And let's bear in mind that, you know, JJ, he was promoted from EDG Youth, or Edgy, as the name
cool
actually
kids
is.
Call them.
They are very, very cool. But he was promoted from that squad in summer 2019. Bear in mind, he's still pretty much a rookie on this squad, and he is looking exceptional here today. Hope as well, the other rookie here, who has been fed all of this gold on Kalista, and I'm hoping we get to see the reason that they put so much priority on the Kalista pick this series.
This is not us, by the way, saying Junjia is terrible by any sense of the word. It's just I like the way EDG are able to swap around their junglers for very different styles of EDG, and we're seeing it come through in this game. Now, though, I want to see them opt into the split push, try and figure out a way that they can deal with both Gimgoon and Doinb and keep the waves in check in this game.
Lwx will be here, and bear in mind that Varus, even with the on-hit build, will still have exceptionally good wave clear for himself. Gimgoon, though, he's the target of a lot of criticism here from EDG, as they want to try and shut down the World Ender, but Gimgoon walks away and will be able to get the recall. There's not a wave in position, so they can't go for any kind of dive.
Look at the difference, though, between Gimgoon and Aodi. Aodi's been playing around the map so heavily, he's still only level 9, well, just hit level 10, whereas Gimgoon is already on that level 11 mark. So Aodi would need to be positioned against Doinb for a large portion of this game, because if he ends up against Gimgoon, it'll be lights out for the Renekton.
And Lwx has actually managed to just about match the plate gold coming out for EDG there when it comes to the bottom laners, but it's where the kills are and the CSs. That's where the lead really is in that bottom side. But EDG, they continue their performance when it comes to these Rift Heralds so far in this series, so they will grab the second one. And they could use this to crack open that mid lane.
It's the last outer turret remaining for FPX, so I would be surprised if they didn't turn their attention towards the mid lane. The other thing that they can do, though, is use this to create artificial pressure in the mid lane so they can go towards the dragon. It's only a minute until that spawns, so back away, get your gold, spend it nicely, pick up your control wards, get that vision back in favor of yourselves in River, and then look to draw the attention of FPX in 2 directions at once.
And I'd love to see them do that purely because that's exactly what FPX have been doing to EDG, is making them make these tough decisions, pulling them in multiple directions at the same time. I'd love to see EDG give FPX a taste of their own medicine here. Use that Herald, as you say, for that pressure.
And I want to draw people's attention to where the game state was in game number 1 and game number 2 at this stage. We had tier 2 towers galore going across to FPX at this stage. That was where they were able to create these long lanes where minions could really start to snowball, pick up speed, and a lot more creeps per wave. But they don't have that opportunity this time around. This is dangerous, though, for Aodi. He needs to get the hell out of here.
Aodi's in a big old lump of trouble right here because Gimgoon's going to pop the world, and he's already used his slice and dice. Flashes away, though. Blast Cone available. Gimgoon gets the knock up, and Tian, he's here. He's waiting. Dominus comes through, but you can't 1v3. Not just yet, anyway. Doinb finally gets himself a kill.
So FPX are looking to trade the tower mid and this dragon for the play topside. They'll need to get more than just a kill if they want to make this even, but with this Rift Herald, it makes it very hard to trade for another tier 2 on the top side of the map.
Yeah, they can try and go for a tier 2 here, but they're going to lose this Infernal Drake for sure. They lose the tier 1 guaranteed. And I really don't think Gimgoon has the pushing power just yet to make that tier 2 happen.
He should be able to. I actually think he might be fine here. Don't forget, Gimgoon is reasonably fed when compared to Aodi, although there we go. That's the teleport coming through from Aodi to try and keep it. So now you've got EDG who picked up the dragon. They understand the pressure that Gimgoon can create.
We're at 17 minutes sole point, Dagda. 17 minutes.
Insane.
EDG have gone, you know what? Sod the late game. We're drafting an early game comp. We're going to fight you, and we're going to take every single objective. They're doing exactly that. And now FPX are on a timer. Their mid laner is Ryze. That's a late game carry.
And I love seeing this adoption from EDG. That's why these best of 5s are amazing, because you get to go, okay, what can EDG bring out of the woodworks when they're put on the back foot? When they're one loss away from being knocked out of the playoffs? Well, they come out swinging. They come out with this amazing composition that they're pushing FPX to their limit on.
And I want to obviously point out, I just mentioned, obviously the mid laner is Ryze here for FPX. So yes, they have a ton of late game prowess. You got an on-hit Varus there as well. So if they were able to get to that really late stage of the game, they will look incredibly tough. It's just a matter of if they ever make it to that point, because EDG, they shouldn't be looking to slow things down, but Scout could be in trouble. He's got his own realm walk, but he's kicked straight out of it. Doinb, tank of the tower though, means that they can't force the issue on this one, and Scout survives.
Tian is desperately trying to help out around these side lanes to get something back in FPX's favor, but it hasn't really netted them too much. Yes, a top lane turret, but Scout has been doing a good job of keeping pressure on this bottom lane. Now you've got the rest of EDG putting pressure on the rest, on everywhere else in the map. And Scout, yeah, TP's back in to keep Doinb at bay.
I love that from Scout. Denies the cannon as well as the tower for himself there. And my question to you now, Dagda, is, I just mentioned that FPX, they've got a lot of scaling on their side. What is it that EDG have to do to keep this ball rolling? Because now that the tier 1s are down and Baron's not available just yet, where did it go?
The next port of call for EDG is to try and knock down that top lane turret, because when you look at these split push scenarios, you want all the waves crashing at the same time, but the top lane tower is going to stop that from being the case. And especially when EDG have just invested both of their teleports to get out onto the map, to get this tempo advantage in their favor, they need to do something with it. But unfortunately, with the wave now pushed in a little bit further for Aodi, he's not able to go aggressive on the top side. The wave is pushed too far deep on the bottom side for Scout to make anything happen with it, and FPX are able to clear out these waves, and with the double teleports that they have and Baron up in just a few moments, they can make these plays towards the big objectives with the countdown timer on the teleports of EDG's side.
Scout is looking fantastic on this Sylas, by the way. He's really stepped up here for game number 3. He was playing more of the late game style carries in game 1 and game 2, but this time around with Sylas, obviously Sylas will do great in the late game, but it's these mid-game skirmishes, especially with a lead, that Sylas is really going to shine. And EDG, they heard you loud and clear. They want this top tower.
Yeah, you can see Aodi's starting to push it in. I like that Scout has also rotated over to try and make sure that if anything happens, they can fight the 5v5.
FPX want to stop this one. Doinb, he's got a round walk, but he is completely denied, and he is popped immediately. Tower will fall, so will Gimgoon. Tian has arrived, but he's too late to the party. There's one for JJ, and Baron is on the map.
There's 3 gone for FPX. Unless Lwx can make some sort of miracle steal, which should never happen, EDG can pick up the Baron. EDG are running around FPX.
And I really don't think that Doinb and Gimgoon realized the tower dive was happening right there. They try and stop the play, they try and defend the tower, but it goes so horribly awry. Now Crisp, he wants to contest, but Scout is here and he's found Lwx. The Lantern pulls him to safety, but it's not that safe. There's a crocodile over the wall. They will back away, but the Baron will go the way of EDG.
And now they can start to try and make plays in these side lanes. FPX had the teleport advantage, burned it in that play, so EDG with their own teleports coming up can now look to make these side lanes heavily in their favor. And this is actually where I thought it's strange from FPX to commit so heavily to this. They don't spot how many people from EDG are up here, but with everything dark, Doinb committing this heavily onto a teleport to the top side, Gimgoon as well following up on that when you see multiple members. This was FPX just not respecting EDG's map movements and knowing that they could have made this play.
I feel like they realized they made a mistake and then doubled down on it anyway.
Yeah.
They were just like, all right, well, we win together, we lose together. It's time to fight this one, boys. Doinb cannot win this 1v1. Scout is making a mockery of him right now, but actually decides not to go for it.
You just needed a couple more seconds for the next round of Absconded to be up by Scout. That's when he was going to go in aggressive, which is why Doinb very quickly backs away.
But here we go, Baron buff in the pockets of EDG, and that means they can happily walk on up to these turrets. Tier 2 already gone in the bottom lane, remember, but Infernal Soul has just spawned.
I love how Meiko is now playing this set as well. The criticism we had was him going a little bit deep. That's previous times we've seen him in the set pick. But he's playing this keep away style, positioning right beside Hope. So if Tien tries to come in for a Dragon's Kick, you've got the showstopper to pull Tien away from his target and set EDG up for the turnaround play.
Well, with the Infernal Soul at 22 minutes
insane.
in the game. I'm sure a lot of you guys at home will have watched the charity speedrunners, the AGDQ guys. Well, this is LPL GDQ because these guys are not looking to stop anytime soon. They're not going to be looking to pause and reset. They're looking to end this as fast as possible.
And this is incredible from EDG because I started to look at our notes and I was like, I don't even have it written down how quickly EDG win because it was just such a non-factor in the way that this team played. They were the late game team fighters. They wanted to hang on until those later stages. It's FPX who are the fastest team in the league, but EDG are putting on a show as to how you actually want to try and close these games out as fast as possible.
EDG are wearing their Phoenix hats right now and they want to fight underneath the tower. Crisp is trying to tank up Gimgoon as well, but they just don't have the health bars. Aodi having to tank as a double goes the way of Hope. We wanted him to step up, and step up he has for game number 3. Down goes the inhibitor with the death timers at 40 seconds. This is game 3, going the way of EDG. Lwx and Crisp against the world right now, and with the Baron buff, there's nothing they can do. In fact, Fountain diving Scout, he might just have committed suicide here, but in fact he survives. Will finally drop to an arrow of Lwx.
This is only 23 minutes though. Respawns are coming in quick.
Respawns are coming quick, but Crisp falls and it's not going to happen. Another one for Hope, another for Aodi, and game 3 for EDG.
At 24 minutes as well.
Let's go, EDG. This is what I wanted. This is the late game team fighting team. This is not the way that EDG wins.
How? Where was this EDG all split? This is incredible. This is the team that we saw against Top way back at the start of the split. And they look incredible. Playing through side lanes, 4 versus 2 dives on the bottom side of the map. Plays on the top side to catch FPX unaware. EDG on an absolute burner.
And now, looking towards game number 4, it's like, maybe FPX also drafts a super early composition, and maybe we just have a brawl on our hands. I would love to see it, but Scout on this Sylas looked amazing. Aodi on the Renekton definitely knows how to push the advantage, but most importantly, Hope on this Kalista finally got his chance to show why they're prioritizing this pick.
I want to take this right the way back, though, because EDG made these plays off of the teleport being gone on Doinb. That was the whole catalyst for this, which makes it even more impressive. It was, Doinb has no flash. Ryze has to play back that little bit further because he's a bit worried about abscond ducked from Sylas for Scout to get onto him, set up for JJ to get that kill. So Scout gets the push. They then make this super early dive bot. They're picking up kills there. Then the repeat gank as well when Hope comes in, or not when Hope, when Lwx comes in with the teleport once again, the rinse and repeat. And that was the snowball. That's what started this all churning. And EDG just picking off towers across the map, trading up at all points in time. And JJ getting to display his excellent objective control when ahead.
And do you know what? Game number 1 and 2, it was the 20-minute mark where FPX would have like about a 2k gold lead and they'd start to push things towards a victory. It was the 22-minute mark where EDG started to end the game here in game number 3. Scout on the Sylas, top in the damage chart, almost double what Doinb brought to the table. This was a miraculous game 3 performance from EDG, and I'm hoping they can keep this ball rolling now. I'm hoping for 5 games.
So am I, especially after a performance like that. EDG, that was incredible. And we talked about FPX not being infallible. Well, they just picked apart every weakness of FPX. I said this, FPX are doing this to EDG. Well, EDG say, hey, look, we can just answer back so effectively.
I said it earlier on about FPX, but it's EDG that say anything you can do, we can do better. Play the exact style that FPX know and love and use it against them. And I think FPX were kind of taken aback in this game. It felt like around 10 minutes they were sort of like, what's going on here? We're meant to be the ones setting the tempo. They were the ones chasing the plays. They tried to make the play on the top side to kind of regain control of the game, and it all just fell apart.
Yeah, and you could even see that they weren't expecting EDG to be as quick to the ball as they were. Where you've got this double teleport from Gimgoon and Doinb in the top lane, well, that was supposed to be, oh, well, Doinb's getting down on the map. He's going to be pushing out this wave to stop that turret going down. FPX thinks this is all hunky-dory, but EDG are sitting in a bush waiting for them. Collapse, kill, Baron, end the game. That was amazing from EDG.
It was like a perfect storm, that top lane play, honestly, for EDG. And hunky-dory it was not for FPX. We're going to